Um, Hi. Firstly, I'm sure that you've noticed these, and there's a very good reason for me wearing nose plugs, and that is because I have a runny nose. It's fairly obvious. Um, Back to the main, sorry, back to the main topic for today's edition of My View, and today's edition is going to be all about John Cena. John Cena, who, without a shadow of a doubt, is one of the greatest WWE superstars of all time. Because I was thinking about this. Now, Cena has pretty much been the main face for the company for 10 years. And for those entire 10 years, he has been very successful. He has drawn money. He's drawn huge amounts of money. And I, I was kind of thinking, well, how does Cena rate amongst the all-time greats? Greats like, you know, Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Ultimate Warrior, The Rock, um, Triple H, The Undertaker, and people who can pull in a crowd. And there's no denying that Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold Steve Austin and the Rock pull in astronomical numbers. But John Cena's numbers aren't that far behind. Now, also, let's take Hulk Hogan. His first, his first WWE run was back in the 1970s, and to say that it was unremarkable was a understatement. His second run was from 1984 till about 1992 in terms of being a proper active wrestler. So that's like a period of about what 8 years, in 1984 to like 1992, and then he kind of left, and then he kind of came back again, and then he kind of left, and then he stayed away, and then he joined WCW in 94. So, like, Hogan's run was about like 9 years, 8 and 9 years, and of course when he went to the WCW, he was doing the traditional Hulk Hogan thing, and he was booed out of the arena. And Stone Cold Steve Austin kind of went from about 1998 through till about 2000 and what 3, 4. So that's about 6 years. But you know they were unbelievable 6 years. The Rock started in 1995, and then by about 2002, he had in 2003 he had like started to like leave for like movies. So that's like 7 years, and for like the first 2 years of his in career, he was being booed out of the building. So kind of his went for about 5 years. Now, Cena has been the main face of the company for 10 years, and he pulls in crowds. I mean, the biggest WrestleMania ever was Cena against the Rock. It got 1.2 million per view buys. So, that was even more than sort of like Stone Cold Steve Austin versus the, the Rock. Um, so, and and sort of like he's been the face for like 10 years, and the reason why he doesn't get the respect that he's due is because people say, oh, well, Ina's fans are basically all kids. They're like between the ages of about like I don't know, like S7 and like S16, S17, or they're all with women. And so um, people kind of like make fun of the fact that he comes out, in his cap and his t-shirt and his shorts, and he's like 37, and like he's dressed like some sort of 16-year-old punk who kind of like hangs around on like street corners, and sort of like he talks like a 16-year-old punk who kind of like hangs around on street corners. Um, and like he's only like a year younger than me, so this is a guy who was on the fast track to for 40, but that's the reason why some sections of the WWE universe take a pop at it and kind of like criticize him. But, and here's the thing, the people who criticize John Cena, those fans, right, those fans aren't really important, because basically the WWE has what I like think as two different sets of fans. There's the category A fans who buy the pay-per-views, who buy the tickets, and buy the merch, the merchandise. And then there's the category B fans, and these are people who are just happy to watch it on TV, virtually for free, but they don't actually um, actually get involved. They don't buy the pay-per-views. They don't buy the merch, and they don't buy the tickets. And like I'm quite pleased to say that I'm a category A fan, or whereby I buy the pay-per-views first chance I get, first genuine chance I get, I'm buying a ticket. Hopefully, hopefully, I would love to go to WrestleMania 31. I would love to go, and I'm gonna try my best to go. And I'm also gonna be buying some merch, um, purely purely because I'm like, here's a tip. Um, I'm gonna be like buying the Cena gym bag, and like the Dean Ambrose leather jacket, because the bag's about like $30 or like something, and like the jacket's around about the same. Now, $30 is about like £18, and like for $40 is like about like £28. And like if you bought the same items here, it would cost more. So if you're in the UK, check out the WWE's merchandising page, because they have clothing, they have bags, they have gym equipment, and it's all priced in dollars. Now you'll be buying in pounds, so you'll actually get a good deal. And sort of um where was I? Oh yeah, there's in category A fans and there's category B fans. Now, the ones that kind of like rant against Cena tend to be the category B fans. The ones who like him are the category A fans. Now, if you're a promoter and you've got a wrestler, you want guys who are going to get over with the category A fans. These are the fans who not only have the cash, but they're prepared to spend it on the WWE. Now, I'm a big fan of the WWE, and when I have that disposable income, I'm more than happy to spend it to buy that pay-per-view, buy that ticket, and buy that merch. And the people who are slagging Cena off are fans who are not prepared to buy the pay-per-views, not prepared to buy the tickets, and not prepared to buy the merch. And I know that when Cena comes out, it's like almost a institutional thing, whereby you get the "Let's go Cena, Cena sucks" chant. But in recent months, I've noticed that that is becoming less and less frequent, and I think it's because of his performances against Brock Lesnar. He's earned a lot of respect, and sort of um, and especially now that like he's kind of like taking on the authority. Even the people who were like saying, "Oh well, let's go Cena, Cena sucks." Even the people who were like saying, "Cena sucks," are sort of starting to like warm to him now. And so like if I don't know, like it's kind of like when I look at John Cena, I look at a guy who's potentially on the cusp to really explode. And sort of by explode, I mean really connect with sort of like a wider enough audience. He's he's got like 3 or 4 million Twitter followers. He's got like his own line of sports products, which if you shift as much merchandise as John Cena, you'd be stupid not to have your your own line of endorsed products. And sort of like I kind of get the feeling of that kind of like Cena and like Randy Orton are kind of like Stone Cold and The Rock, but now Cena's like The Rock and Randy Orton is kind of like a Stone Cold. Now both of them have the potential to kind of hit those heights, and I don't know it's almost as if like there's like a bit of a sea change whereby the potential is there. Um, he's kind of like building momentum. Like I said, WrestleMania in 29 had like 1.2 million pay-per-view buys. WrestleMania 30 had like 640,000 in total, 400,000 domestic buys, and over almost 300,000 international buys. And sort of like plus the like 700,000 people on the WWE network. So when you combine the two, you're looking at like a huge number there. And of course a WrestleMania is like the flagship shows pay per view, but even the Night of Champions and the SummerSlam, the and they did really well, primarily off the strength of the John Cena Brock Lesnar matches, and so I can see the momentum building for like Cena, and of course every wrestling promoter wants his wrestlers to connect with the category A for hands, because the problem that the WWE has now is that Cena is like their biggest cash cow, but he's almost 40, and even though they've been trying, with like Daniel Bryan, who's kind of like getting there. He's kind of like getting to the same level as John Cena. Um, Aside from Randy Orton, there's not really anyone else there who can step up to the mark. And I mean, I know that they're pushing Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, and of course Bray Wyatt. And why they're pushing Bray Wyatt, I don't know. When like when Bray Wyatt does a pay per view, it puts you to sleep, and it's an awful thing because he knows, Bray Wyatt himself knows that he's not connecting. He's not getting over. And the and so like it's got to be hard for him because this is the grandson of Blackjack Mulligan. He's the nephew of Barry Windham. He's the son of Mike Rotunda, um, who was a very talented wrestler, and sort of like deep down in his eyes, you can see that he knows that he ain't no Blackjack Mulligan. He ain't no Barry Windham, and he's not even Erwin R. Shyster. And he knows that because in the space of like 11 months, he's received about 9 major pushes to try and get him over. And it's like, it's not working. His, his kind of so-called feud with Dean Ambrose had lost all of its kind of like intensity and kind of like interest by the third week. I mean, like, he made his like comeback at Night of Champions in by disrupting the Dean Ambrose Seth Rollins match, and just 3 weeks later, people in the audience were already bored of it. They were bored of him, and like it's kind of like as a fan, I can see that both Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose aren't connecting like they should. Because at the start, it was Dean Ambrose versus the Authority. Now it's John Cena versus the Authority, and Dean Ambrose is desperately trying to get Husky Harris over. And, and I mean, right, aside from his ability to do the crab in the ring, I'm not really seeing anything else. I'm like, right, it's got to be difficult for like people like say Kofi Kingston, R-Truth, um, Cesaro, Cesaro, whose main job it seems to be to lose every single week. It's Cesaro's job to basically to job to everyone. Next week, I heard they're gonna bring Who Fez back from his grave and beat Cesaro. Hell, I even heard that they're gonna bring back none other than the fabulous Moolah and get her to beat Cesaro. And you've got Jack Swagger, who's an awesome talent. Yeah, and you've got like Big E, and you've got all of these solid talents, who have genuine capability, who are not getting a push simply because their granddaddy isn't Blackjack Mulligan and their uncle isn't Barry Windham. Now, if Husky Harris didn't have Blackjack Wyndham and like Barry Windham as his relatives, he'd never get at a push. And so it's having a counter effect because like it's taking the shine off Dean Ambrose, and like he's Dean Ambrose is being like pushed to the hilt, and like I don't even know what Bray White can like actually do to kind of like improve his character. I just think that the guy himself is just fundamentally flawed. I mean, when you look at him, you don't see a guy who you'd believe could be a wrestler. All you see is a very sweaty, overweight guy who's kind of doing the crab in the ring and trying to do intense stares into the the camera and kind of spewing diatribes like, I know what darkness lies in a man's soul, Dean. I know. And it's kind of like the the, the like third rate crap that you'd find in like a Z-rate movie. And it's like right. He goes home and then like he watches all of these Z engraved films and like he goes, oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. Put that down. And right, just because his granddaddy could wrestle, and his uncle can wrestle, and his father could wrestle, but let's face it, he didn't really do anything. I mean, Mike Rotunda's most successful run was as Owen R. Shyster. And just because of that, he thinks that, he can be a wrestler. At least his brother, Bo Leave, actually looks like an athlete. Even though he's, you know, like, he's kind of got this sort of annoying attitude that can really get under people's skin. So maybe they should form a tag team. Now, right, a clear reason, right, here's a clear indication of the fact that Bray Wyatt's character is going nowhere. He was part of a, like a threesome with Luke Harper and the other guy, and then they separated them, and now Luke Harper and the other guy are actually starting to get over. but they only started to get over after they were separated from Bray Wyatt, who was kind of sucking them down with within him. And that's why they basically separated them to say, right, well, let's at least give these guys a fair chance to see if they can get over. And in the meantime, Bray is now sucking down Dean Ambrose, and from what I've heard, Bray Wyatt is very good at sucking up. I heard that it's how he got most of his opportunities. Or I should probably take the hat back because then Patterson isn't with the company anymore, so that can't be right. So overall, as a fan, I'm very pleased with the WWE product. Um, I do have concerns about the future because John Cena isn't getting any younger. Randy Orton is like 33, 34. Um, Daniel Bryan is like 33. And so like all of your main faces are kind of like in their 30s now, and there's not really anybody there who can actually take their place. Um, Although Seth Rollins, he's probably gonna step up as a heel as soon as Randy Orton gets back, and when he starts having matches with Orton, that should put him over as a heel. Um, and Dean Ambrose, if they can get him away from Bray Wyatt and actually put him somewhere decent, um, he'll be fine. Roman Reigns, when he gets back, he should he should be like the the next like major John Cena type at the face, and he's relatively young as well. So there's that. But though when you look outside that, you've got like Dolph Ziggler who can do a job, who can potentially step up. You've got the Miz and potentially Damien Sandow. Um, Kofi Kingston is still relatively young. Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is like still in his mid to late 20s, and so like I'm gonna make this prediction. Within 5 years, Cody Rhodes is going to be one of the WWE's biggest faces. Um, and I'm kind of like going back on like what I said, where sort of like I said, well, I kind of have fears for the company because there has kind of like a few guys there, but they have to get over first. And like getting them over is the hard part. Because like the WWE, um, much is made of the fact that it's seen by like 400 million odd every single week. It's in 180 odd in countries. Um, and so like um, all of that. But um, and those are great numbers. But then you have to sort of take what I like to call a bit of a reality check. It's seen by over 400 million people every single week, almost half a billion people a week. Yet the WrestleMania pay-per-view, which is by far, and I mean by far, their biggest pay-per-view, barely gets over a million buys. So you've got 500 million people watching it every single week, yet the main pay-per-view, the biggest pay-per-view, gets barely over a million buys. That's reality check number one. Reality check number two is it's seen by over 500 million people. They launched the WWE Network, which gives you all of the WWE programming and all of the pay-per-views for a greatly reduced price. And it did so poorly that they had to offer it plus Survivor Series for like the the whole of November. They had to offer it for free. They had to offer it for free because it only had about 700,000 di- di- domestic um, 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 domestic um, people, subscribers, and they launched it in 179 countries. They launched it worldwide except for the UK, which I'm still not happy about. But they launched it in over 179 countries, the rest of the world, and the rest of the world got them a grand total of 28,000 subscribers. That's reality check number two. The WWE at the moment is losing cash. It's making a hell of a lot of cash, yet it's still online to lose about 20 to 30 million this year. That's reality check number three. Now, the WWE has tried a lot of things in the past. The XFL, the WBF, there was WWE New York, and pretty much everything that they tried that was non-wrestling related fell flat on its face. Now, if the WWE network doesn't work and they have to pull back from it, they're going to be in a situation where they're going to be telling over 700,000 fans, 700,000 fans who are like their hardcore fans who kind of like got the network that right, well, we're like scrapping this, so Whereas you've only been paying $10 a month, you've now got to go back to paying like 60 to $80 a month for the pay-per-view in a time when there's a when we've just been through a massive financial crisis. We're still not out of it, and there's other new recessions looming. Now, if they have to do that, that is going to cause an unbelievable amount of bad will, which is why the WWE network was a necessary risk, but it was a massive risk because once it was launched, it's something that you can't go back on. So it's like, right, well, we're going to launch it, we've got to make it work. Which means getting at least 1 million subscribers. So now you have to ask yourself, where are those extra subscribers going to come from? Where are you going to get them? And the answer is very simple. It's very, very, very simple. It's staring people in the face. You're in 180 countries, yet, with the exception of the Great Khali and the new Japanese guy, virtually every other wrestler is either American or Canadian. And and there has like Paige, who is like, and of course William Eagle, bravely, flying the flag for um, Blighty, and maybe if there was more appeal for all of those people in those 170 odd countries, they'd get more than 28,000 subscribers. The WWE is a very American-centric product, and if you want a global audience, you have to you have to produce a global product to global tastes, and the whole world is not America. So, WWE, wake up! I mean, the business opportunities that you are missing are immense. Right, take India. India has a 400 million strong middle class with an average earnings that is on par or even greater than the American average. 400 million. They, they had the great Kali, who they re- released, which is understandable because from what I've heard, he was costing them a lot of cash, and he's not really been able to sort of wrestle since 2010, 2011, did, due to health reasons. So, and he was costing them about 1 million a year. So, it's understandable why they didn't renew his contract. But you've got 400 million people in India who could easily afford the $10 equivalent for the WWE network. Easily. Now, it, like, if they just got 1/4 of 1% of that potential market, they'd be making an extra what? Let's see. Well, 1% of 400 million is 4 million. A quarter of that is a million. So they'd be making an extra $120 million a year just from 1/4 of 1% of the Indian market. Now, when you then add in places like China and Indonesia and Korea and and Vietnam and sort of like all of these places, the earnings potential for the WWE, which is very popular, is immense. But you're not going to get that market with an American-centric product. If you want a global market, you have to have a global product. That's why football, and I don't mean American football, I mean football is a global sport because it's a global product that appeals to everyone in the world. If you want a global audience, you need a global product. Simple. And when the WWE does that, it's going to make the 500 million odd that they make a year look like chump change. I mean, like, they could have like, right, in 2010, they got a lot of attention. Now, the great Kali went back to India, and he actually addressed the Indian Parliament, and he got a shed load of attention in India. Dada Singh was and still is one of the biggest heroes in India. Wherever he went, he drew massive crowds. When the WWE did a live event in India, they drew over 120,000 people. 120,000 people. So, global market, global product. Every single one of your wrestlers cannot be American. In the WWE, if you're British, you're considered a foreign wrestler. I mean, when was the last time that you had a wrestler from, say, Germany or like, how you go like this Izaro, who's from Switzerland, but there are these huge markets: India, China, Korea, South Korea, um, the Philippines, Malaysia, Fiji. These huge markets, and so tap them. Just tap them. They're there to be mined. The WWE has got the most unique wrestling product in the world. Nobody else has a product like the WWE. Nobody does. Not even the local Indian promotions. Nobody does wrestling like the WWE except for the Japanese. But the Japanese wrestling is very much like the WWE. It's very J- Japan centric. So it appeals in Japan, but not necessarily outside of Japan. So, and the hat's quite strange because Japan is a Asian country, and so like why aren't Japanese promotions taking advantage of the fact that they're an Asian promotion and they're an Asian company and kind of like getting their sort of brand all over Asia? Um, I mean, like, I don't know, like, say, a Japanese company can do like a special pay per view where they have like a Bollywood um, A-lister as like a special guest referee. They could get one of the big action stars from Hong Kong to be like a special guest referee. They could get like one of the big actors from China to be like a special guest referee and kind of like grow it that way. So, the market is there, but they have to get past their kind of national centric styles in order to appeal to that global market. Now, I'm not saying that like the WWF should just like go out and get like five Indian wrestlers, five Chinese wrestlers, five Malaysian wrestlers, and like five Korean wrestlers, and like five Australian wrestlers, and like five South African wrestlers, and like five Brazilian wrestlers. Although, Brazilian wrestlers probably would be quite good with the whole weird thing. And just, put them into your promotion and then try and get like a American centric product. Because, and America is their core business. But if they kind of like said, right, well, we can get like five or six Asian wrestlers, an Australian wrestler, a South African wrestler, this wrestler, that wrestler, bring them all in and kind of like make them a part of that American centric product, yet also get them to show their individual nation styles. It then gives the American audience something fresh. And so it's not just like the standard in catches catch can American wrestling. They can see styles of wrestling from all across the world as well. And so that then gives the American audience something new to see. And then that's what grabs people's attention. Because you'll have like people eventually the the Monday night football season is going to be over. You're going to have like people like flicking through and going, what's on TV? Oh, let's check that. That was what? Oh, what's that? Oh, it's wrestling. I was like, oh, is that like a samba style thing? Or like, is that like an Indian style thing? It's like, is that like martial arts? Like, is that like a Chinese guy? And it's like, oh, I've never seen that before. And then it's like, oh, well, like, this is something new, something different. And then they actually sit up and go, oh. And then the next day at work, they go in and like, hey, right, I was watching wrestling the like the day, uh, and like their friends were like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Did they like hit the guy with hit like a wrench or a chair again? And then like they're like, oh well, actually, they like had this guy from like Korea, and like he had this like really unique like thing, and like you just watch it, and you'll see what I mean. And like then it grows. And that's how it grew in 1998 because you had Stone Cold Steve Austin doing stuff that people hadn't seen before. People hadn't seen a face and basically is saying, oh, well, you know, I know you're cheering for me, but I don't give a shit. And so, you know, like, and then I'm just here to drink beer and kick ass. They hadn't seen that before. And that's why the Attitude Era worked, because it was something that they hadn't seen. And, you know, it brought it in the crowd. So, you know, it's, as I said, if you want a global audience and you want the financial rewards that a global audience will bring, you've got to have a global product. It is as simple as that. And on that note, I've been talking for 57 minutes, and so I'm going to go. So I'll see you soon.